is the plan to do about the food healthcare industry and getting the artificial foods banned in our urban communities that have less access to organic whole foods.
So, Bobby Kennedy, right? Everybody.
Sometimes I think the Trump campaign forgets that their candidate is Donald Trump, because today Fox and Friends aired a segment of Donald Trump making a campaign stop at a barbershop in New York City. And traditionally, this would be great for any candidate to sit down and have a Q&A in maybe a non-traditional campaign setting. And the candidate would be able to talk about the issues that matter most to them and talk to voters. But for Donald Trump, those things never really happen. As we always know, whenever he opens his mouth, it is bound to backfire. And it's the reason why the campaign has been keeping him out of these types of events, keeping him from doing interviews, not allowing him to debate VP Harris, although I think that third one is more his fear and cowardice than anything. But you would expect someone to be able to, have a conversation with voters and act like a normal person, as long as that person isn't Donald Trump. And so today's event backfired incredibly quickly, not only because Donald Trump humiliated himself to the Fox audience, but because those guys in the barbershop were pretty concerned and confused about a lot of answers that Donald Trump gave. And one specific example that we will see, you can see the guy just being like, what is wrong with this dude? And kind of realizing how dumb Donald Trump is. And we're going to get into all of that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video. And if you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button really goes a long way. And it means the world to me now. Let's get into this first clip.
We have here in the Bronx, what are we going to do?
They're failing.
What are we going to do to improve that in our school systems?
Well, we're moving them back from Washington, where you have people that don't care about New York, frankly. In Washington, I don't know if you ever noticed this, you got Department of Education, Department of Education. You got half the buildings in Department of Education. I never saw. You don't need any of them. I want one person and a secretary to just make sure they're teaching English, okay? Give it a little English, okay? I say reading, writing, and arithmetic. No transgender, no operations. They take your kid. There are some places, your boy leaves the school, comes back, a girl, okay? Without parental consent. What is that all about? That's when they talk about a threat to democracy, they're a threat. Could you imagine, without parental consent? At first, when I was told that was actually happening, I said, it's an exaggeration. No. It happens. It happens. There are areas where it happens. We're not going to let it happen.
So like I said, this would be an easy answer to any other candidate asked about how he's going to help schools in the Bronx, Donald Trump. If he wasn't, Donald Trump could say, we got to make sure we're investing more. So every student has the opportunity that they just know. But he pivots right into fear-mongering about transgender surgeries and saying that your son comes back a daughter or your daughter comes back a son. And you don't even know it. And you can see the guy's face. He just doesn't react. Maybe he's listening, or maybe he's just concerned that this guy could possibly be the president of the United States again. This guy with this cognitive state, he's just so confused, so angry, so grieved all the time, and always making such a fool of himself because he was asked some pretty serious questions. Of course, he's unwilling to do that in an interview. But these weren't all softballs. Sure, the guys there seemed to like Donald Trump, but they were asking about real issues, and his answers were always anything but real. They were ridiculous, as we can see right here.
Is the plan to do about the food healthcare industry and getting the artificial foods banned in our urban communities that have less access to organic whole foods?
So, Bobby Kennedy, right? Everybody likes Bobby. And he's so big into the health food and women, things, everything. He wants to do things in the environment. And he endorsed me. The first time a Kennedy's ever endorsed a Republican. Maybe it's going to be the last, but I doubt it. And he's a great guy. He would be so perfect. He doesn't like artificial foods, and he doesn't like pesticides and all the stuff they put on them. And if you listen to him for 10 minutes, he says other countries that don't do anything are healthier than us, okay? We're not that healthy, to put it mildly. So no artificial foods. We don't want artificial. We have plenty of food. The food isn't our problem. And our farmers are great. And our farmers aren't allowed to do their job. You know, our farmers did great 4 years ago. They were doing just about the best they've ever done. They're not doing well at all now. We're not going to have artificial foods. We don't want artificial foods. We want healthy foods. And a lot of things are going to be going. And I'll tell you, I'm going to have Bobby Kennedy involved in it. He's a great guy. And even the way, when I mentioned his name, all you guys, and you're tough cookies. You know, you wouldn't think, sometimes you'd say, maybe you wouldn't like a guy like Bobby. But he's a person that talks more about food and health than anything else. So I think that's cool. So we'll get it taken care of. You'll be healthier in 4 years from now than you are now, and you look very healthy to me, by the way.
All right, brother.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Whenever Donald Trump brings up RFK Jr. and their potential partnership, it's like when he brings up Elon Musk, it's not something that encourages me about the possibility of a Trump presidency. It really just scares me to death that these are the type of people that Donald Trump is going to be surrounding himself with. And of course, we talk every single day about Project 2025, not only how the agenda that it sets is incredibly dangerous, but the way that it would empower those around Donald Trump, empower his cult, giving them unchecked ability to attack our federal government. And that is something that should scare us. And of course, that's something that RFK Jr. would want to do. Attack science, attack our institutions in a way that should really, really scare us. And so I don't know how that's comforting to hear. And especially, I don't know how this answer from Donald Trump is comforting to hear when he was asked about federal taxes, something that Donald Trump doesn't really like a lot. But you can see why this answer is so concerning.
All this extra revenue we're going to be bringing into the country. So do you believe at some point in time we could find a way, once the country's back on its feet and getting enough revenue and paid off our debt, do you think it's possible to find a way to eliminate federal taxes?
There is a way.
And how do you feel about it?
You know, in the old days, when we were a smart country, in the 1890s and all, this is when the country was relatively the richest it ever was. It had all tariffs. It didn't have an income tax.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Now we have income taxes, and we have people that are dying. They're paying tax, and they don't have the money to pay the tax. No, in the old days, 1890, 1880, we had so much money, they had to set up committees, blue ribbon committees, how to spend our wealth. We had no idea how to spend it with so much money. Then we went to the income tax system, and the rest is sort of history. But no, there is a way. I mean, if what I'm planning comes out, it's a great question, by the way.
Everyone could attain the American
sophisticated cat, you know.
Everyone could attain the American dream if it wasn't for the high cost, the burden of high taxes, and we're taxed at every step of the way.
That they're so desperate. And like we always say, he's not running for president. He's running away from prison. And so he gets more and more desperate every day, that he's at this point where now he's willing to say, sure, we might just eliminate federal income tax. And I'm banning homework too. And every day is just recess and lunch. Now he's running for class president in elementary school. But I think that more fits Donald Trump's cognitive state right now. As an elementary school, actually, they may be a little smarter than he is, but this is the point that the campaign has gotten to sure we'll just eliminate federal income taxes. That has been the Trump campaign, is just like one tax after the other. They're planning to eliminate, trying to buy as many as possible. And speaking of buying votes, are you seeing Elon Musk in Pennsylvania literally trying to buy votes, giving out $1 million a day? This is terrifying. How are these the people who are going to try to run our government? It should absolutely frighten us that this is Donald Trump's cognitive state. This is the actions being taken by those around him, and he thinks he can run our economy after he already failed doing so. No, I don't think so. And especially when you ask him about what his plans are, and he gives answers like these.
I don't know what more to do. How can we make the economy come back?
How do you get to the bottom of this?
So here's what we're doing. Number one, it all began with the oil. They screwed around with what I did with oil. We had the greatest. We were energy independent. You remember back 4 or 5 years ago, $1.87 for a gallon of gas. We actually had it lower than that for your car. $1.87. Now it's at $3.50, but it was much higher. They brought back my policies to break even, but by that time the damage was done, and now you have inflation and you have the cost so high, and they haven't gone down. We're going to do two things. Interest rates are going down. It's going to be brought down. It's going to be brought down fast, but much more importantly and quicker, we're going to drill, baby, drill. You've heard that, right? Drill, baby, drill. We're going to get our oil. We're going to have much more of it that we're going to do 4 to 5 times more than we're doing right now. We can do that. These people are amazing. They can do it. And we'll be supplying it to Asia. We'll be supplying it to Europe. We'll be supplying it to everywhere. And that's going to bring down prices. It's going to bring down the cost of everything. If you make donuts, when you look at these stores, they have trucks that deliver, they have stoves and ovens, you have your lighting, you have all this, equipment, and all of that electric equipment that he's using on your beautiful head of hair. You have a good looking head of hair. I'm jealous. Look at that flat top. I'd have a flat top. I wish I had a flat top. You never had a hair loss problem, did you? Lucky. He's one of those gifted ones. Anyway, what you do, those machines are very expensive. They're running the machines at electric. When that comes down, like in a shop like this, no matter what you do, it's about energy.
Talking about energy, and I've said this before, is because I think it's an easy thing for him to talk about. He doesn't have to explain in any real way how he would work to make sure the economy is built from the middle out, not the top down. How he would invest in the middle class. Of course he's not going to do, so he can just say, oh well, we're going to get your energy down by 50%, doesn't give a reason why, and says, oh well, that'll fix everything also, doesn't give a reason why, because he doesn't have a reason. And I think everyone in there who's not already caught up in the Trump cult can kind of tell. And that's why these campaign stops are so damaging, because it just shows how far gone he is. And that's why we have to continue to talk about them and call them out every single day. And that's what we're going to be doing on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you're stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And early voting is started in so many states. If you have already early voted, let me know in the comments. We all want to thank you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.